Aloha CS140 students, and this video will set up Visual Studio Code. So hopefully you followed some instructions and you've installed Git onto your computer if you have a PC. If you have a Windows machine, hopefully Git comes pre-installed, and then you've downloaded and installed Visual Studio Code. We're going to use this to edit all of our files. There are a couple extensions that we do need to install. So to install the extensions, you can go over here and click that button. Now the extensions that we want are first Live Preview, and it's built by Microsoft, so make sure that it says Microsoft, and you can click on that one. I've already installed it, but you can click Install, and it will install the extension. The next extension that you want to install is actually this one right here. That's Live Server, and that'll install it. And what these extensions allow us to do is to be able to see our web page as we make changes. So they're really helpful. Now, Live Preview allows you to see it inside of Visual Studio Code. But to see it outside of Visual Studio Code, we're going to use this live server, and we can see our web page inside of our browser. Now, while we're here, let's go ahead and open up the terminal and finish setting up Git. So you can go up to this terminal and you can say a new terminal, and we get one down here. Now, your terminal might look a little bit different if you're on a Windows machine and even if you're on a Mac, but we want to run that command. So you can copy and paste this command from the instructions. And you notice it says to put your name here. So of course you want to delete that. Make sure you leave the quote marks and then put your name inside of there. Now I've already set this up, so I'm not going to run this command, but you'd press enter to run the command. And then you'd also copy and paste the email command and put your email in and press enter again to set up your email. Now after you've finished running those commands, you can press this little trash can button, and that will get rid of your terminal so that you have the full screen to edit. Now over on the side here, we have our Git source control, which we will go to. And we also have our files. And if you notice, it's saying open a folder, or we can clone a repository. So if we want to clone a repository, let's go ahead and click this clone repository. And now we need to copy and paste our URL of our GitHub repository to make a copy of it on our local computer or our lab machine. Now I have a lot of different repositories, so it might be a little hard for me to find the repository, but you probably only have one. So you probably see a repository. And so I found my my projects repository, so I'm going to click on that. And here it is. And up here, I can go ahead and code. And you probably want to clone. You might want to click on this HTTPS URL to clone it. So I'll go ahead and copy that to the clipboard. And now we can go ahead and click clone repository, and we can put the URL there. If you don't see that, you can see this show all commands right here. And on a Mac, it's Shift Command P. On a Windows machine, it's Shift Control P. So I'm going to press Shift Command P, and you could start typing Git, and you see this Git clone action command that we can run. And I'm going to paste in that URL. And it's asking me where I want to save it. So I might save it on my desktop. You guys can decide. It can be in my documents folder, wherever you can remember where you're going to save this. And we're going to select the desktop as the repository destination. And then now it's saying, would you like to open the cloned repository? And I'm going to click open. And you could say, yes, I trust the authors of this one because you are the author. And of course, there's really nothing in these folders. It's just this little file. It's empty just so that we can have our folders here. But we'll go ahead and work on our first activity. So we can click on the activity folder here, make sure it's highlighted. We can add a new file, index.html. And now we can go ahead and start our HTML page. Now, if you notice, I had it named index.html, but I went ahead and renamed it to first.html because it is my first page. And then I have a short little bit of HTML code for our first web page. Now we can go ahead and look at that live preview. We got this button right here, which says show preview, and we can actually see our page right there. Now that we have our page just the way we want it, we need to take our changes that are only on our local machine and we need to push them back up to github.com. So over here, you can go to your Git thing here. You can stage your changes. It'll ask you to stage them later if you don't do it, but I'm going to go ahead and stage my changes. We always put a message, and usually the message should start with a verb, a present tense verb. And here I'm going to say add first.html. And then I'm going to commit and push, or you can click commit. And after you commit, then you want to sync your changes. And here it might ask you to log in to GitHub. I've already logged into GitHub, so I was able to sync my changes, but you might need to go to a browser, log into GitHub, come back, and then sync your changes. And going back to github.com and you're viewing your repository, if you just give it a refresh, you can click on your activities and everything went well. You should see your first HTML and you can see all of the code there. Now let's go ahead and set up your repository. You only need to do this once so that you can actually see your HTML pages. So we're going to go down here to Pages, and we're going to use GitHub Pages to host our website. We're going to say Deploy from a branch, and we need to select the main branch. So, and you can just say the root as your folder, and then you go ahead and click Save. And now it might take some time for this link to show up, but you can go ahead and refresh the page, and then it will give you a link so you can see your site. So after waiting a few minutes, you might need to wait 5 minutes or so, but once you've deployed it, and again, you only need to do this once, you can then go to see your website. Now, this isn't the web page you created, so you got to remember the folders and your file name that you created. So if you remember, I created this in the activities folder and the file name was first.html. So I got to type this exactly, including the case. If I use capital letters, it might not find our page. So you got to type it exactly up there. And now you see my first page exactly how I created it. And to submit this final assignment, you're going to copy this URL, copy it, and paste it into Canvas to submit your project.